so many good books. Hello fellow book nerds, this is Gabby and today we are talking books coming out in 2021 that I'm extremely excited about. I am someone that has been, over the past year, reading so many new releases. I love new releases. I feel like they're becoming way more diverse. We hear so many new voices, both in terms of race, sexuality, gender orientation, whatever it might be. I just feel like so many people from diasporas get to tell their stories, and that's why I enjoy reading new releases. I feel like, of course, there's so many amazing backlists, and I still want to get to them, but when there's a new release, I want to give it a shot and I want to check out this new author, and especially if you're a diaspora author, I just find it so good and happy. It makes me happy and warm inside. I do this series on my channel where I talk about books coming out following month, new releases, and then I review one or two of them a month for you guys, and I've been really enjoying doing that. So I thought, why not make a video when I talk about all the books I'm excited about. I think I have about 15. I'm sure there's some books that will come out in the second half of the year that I don't even know that might come out or whatever, but that's what the monthly videos are for. This is just a big video to tell you like the biggest, brightest stars that I am excited about. So we're just gonna kick it off. We're gonna go in the month of publication, but I'm excited for all of them. If there's one I'm particularly excited about, I'll let you know. There's also timestamps if you wanted to skip book by book because there's only some you're excited in. That's there for your perusal. So the first one, I won't have to wait too long because it's coming out in January, and this book is The Red Palace by June Hur. So this one's coming out on December 25th, and it's a YA historical fantasy, YA historical thriller, not a fantasy, and I am so excited because this is like pitched / that's how I think about it, is like a Korean historical drama, but it's a book. Could you say more words in like consecutively that would be screaming me and what I enjoy? I love historical dramas. I love them. They're so good. My favorite one is Nghi. I've watched some other ones that are really good. I don't know, just something I really enjoy. I love the palace, the opulence, the vibes, the propriety. It's just so good. And this one is like a thriller and an investigation book. I'm sorry, but that's a little bit too much of a good thing. I don't know, there's just too much good things about this book that I'm excited about. But let me read you the synopsis so we're on the same page. Joseon, Korea, 1758. There are a few options available to the illegitimate daughters in the capital city. But through hard work and study, 18-year-old Hyun has earned her position as a palace nurse. All she wants is to keep her head down, do a good job, and perhaps finally win her estranged father's approval. But Hyun is suddenly thrust into the dark and dangerous world of court politics when someone murders 4 women in a single night, and the prime suspect is Hyun's closest friend and mentor. Determined to prove her beloved teacher's innocence, Hyun launches her own secret investigation. In her hunt for the truth, she encounters Woojin, a young police inspector also searching for the killer. When evidence begins to point to the crown prince himself as the murderer, Hyun and Woojin must work together to search the darkest corners of the palace to uncover the deadly secrets behind the bloodshed. I'm sorry for my poor pronunciation. I can read Hangul, or like I can read the script, Korean characters. It'd be easier for me to know how to pronounce because I guess it'd be like Woojin, I think. Okay, the next book is cautiously optimistic, so we're gonna see. But it still made it to the list because I am definitely gonna read it. So this is The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. So this one's coming out on February 22nd, and it's an adult thriller. And Lucy Foley is the author of The Guest List, which we took booktube in a chokehold a couple months ago when it came out, and everyone was really raving about it, and I read it and I didn't like it. But I want to give the author another chance. To be fair, with thriller authors, I might not like one their books, and then another one I think is the best thing since sliced bread. So this is the synopsis. Jess needs a fresh start. She's broke and alone, and she's just left her job under less than ideal circumstances. Her half-brother Ben didn't sound thrilled when she asked if she could crash with him for a bit, but he didn't say no, and surely everything will look better from Paris. Only when she shows up to find a very nice apartment, could Ben really have afforded this? He's not there. Okay, this is a very confusing sentence to read out, but I hope you got it. The longer Ben stays missing, the more Jess starts to dig into her brother's situation, and the more questions she has. Ben's neighbors are an eclectic bunch and not particularly friendly. Jess may have come to Paris to escape her past, but it's starting to look like it's Ben's future that's in question. The socialite, the nice guy, the alcoholic, the girl on the verge, the concierge. Everyone's a neighbor, everyone's a suspect, and everyone knows something they're not telling. It looks like another close quarters, small cast of characters thriller from Lucy Foley, so it looks good. I am excited, and I think at least I need to give her one more shot. Okay, so the next book is Blood Scion by Deborah Falaye, I think. It's coming out on 8th of March, and it's a YA high fantasy, and this is one of a few that it's not like an author I know or something. It's just like, it looks cool. I don't know. The cover. So this is what it's about. 15-year-old Sloane can incinerate an enemy at will. She is a Scion, a descendant of the ancient Orisha gods. Under the Lucy's brutal rule, her identity means her death if her powers are discovered. But when she is forcibly conscripted into the Lucy's army on her 15th birthday, Sloane sees an opportunity to overcome the bloody challenges of Lucy's training and destroy them from within. Sloane rises through the ranks and gains strength, but in doing so risks something greater, losing herself entirely and becoming the monster that she abhors. Once again, sounds good. Cover. Next book is Kaikeyi by Vaishnavi Patel, coming out on 26th of April, and it's an adult fantasy retelling, and it says, in the vein of Madeline Miller's Circe comes a bold and sweeping debut that reimagines the life of Kaikeyi, the vilified queen of the Indian epic the Ramayana. I love Circe, so I'm feeling like this could be the one. This could be what I've been waiting for, you know what I mean? I hope you do. It sounds so good, I don't know. And the cover also looks amazing. And yeah, I just need more books like Circe. Books that talk about women. Women. You know what I mean. Okay, this is the synopsis. I was born on the full moon under an auspicious constellation, the holiest of positions. Much good it did me. So begins Kaikeyi's story, that of a young woman determined to create her own destiny in a world where gods and men dictate the shape of things to come. But as she transforms herself from an overlooked princess into a warrior, diplomat, and most favored queen, Kaikeyi's will clashes with the path that has been chosen for her family, and she must decide if her resistance is worth the destruction it will wreak. We love reclaiming stories of vilified queens. If that's the type of story you fancy, I would really recommend you read Iron Widow. Speaking of Iron Widow, another book that I am excited about is Zachary, Ying and the Dragon Emperor by Xiran Zhao. So this one's coming out on 3rd of May, and it's a middle grade, an urban fantasy, and has LGBTQ characters, and is the author of this bad boy, and it's their first middle grade, and this was their debut. It says, it's Percy Jackson meets Tristan Strong in this hilarious, action-packed middle grade contemporary fantasy that follows a young boy as he journeys across China to seal the underworld shut and save the mortal realm. Sounds very fun. So this is a synopsis. Zachary Ying never had many opportunities to learn about his Chinese heritage. His single mom was busy enough making sure they got by, and his school never taught anything except Western history and myths. So Zach is woefully unprepared when he discovers he was born to host the spirit of the first emperor of China for a vital mission, sealing the leaking portal to the Chinese underworld before the upcoming ghost month blows it wide open. The mission takes an immediate wrong turn when the first emperor botches his attempt to possess Zach's body and binds to Zach's AR gaming headset instead. leading to a battle where Zach's mom's soul gets taken by demons. Now, with one of history's most infamous tyrants yapping in his headset, Zach must journey across China to heist magical artifacts and defeat figures from history and myth, all while learning to wield the Emperor's incredible water dragon powers. And if Zach can't finish the mission on time, the spirit of the underworld will flood into the mortal realm and he could lose his mom forever. I am definitely seeing the Percy Jackson vibes, especially with the mom being kidnapped, but okay. Alrighty. So, next one. I don't know if I'm excited or if I'm scared, but it's on this list. So this is Book of Night by Holly Black, which is coming out on 3rd of May, and it's an adult urban fantasy. So if you don't know, Holly Black is the author of the Cruel Prince series, which... Okay, if the writing style... There's no writing style. It's like reading a grocery list, at least the first book. The second and third is a bit better. The third one, I hated the book. The second one, I kind of liked it. So I thought, maybe this is an adult book. Maybe she gets a bit more editing. Add a little bit of spice, like fill it up. It's just, I feel like The Cruel Prince was just bones. Like there was no meat on them. So maybe this book is an opportunity to redeem. And I'm excited. And I know everyone will be reading it, so I have to read it too. This is the synopsis. In Charlie Hall's world, shadows can be altered for entertainment and cosmetic preferences, but also to increase power and influence. But manipulating shadows has a cost, with potential to take hours or days from your life. Your shadow holds all the parts of you that you want to keep hidden. A second self, standing just to your left, walking behind you into lit rooms, and sometimes it has a life of its own. Charlie is a low-level con artist, working as a bartender while trying to distance herself from the powerful and dangerous underground world of shadow trading. She gets by doing odd jobs for her patrons and the naive new money in her town at the edge of the Berkshires. But when a fragile figure from her past returns, Charlie's present life is thrown into chaos, and her future seems at best unclear and at worst non-existent. Determined to survive, Charlie throws herself into a maelstrom of secrets and murder, setting her against a cast of doppelgangers, mercurial billionaires, shadow thieves, and her own sister, all desperate to control the magic of the shadows. With sharp angles and prose and a sinister bent, Holly Black is a master of shadow and story stitching. Remember while you read, light isn't playing tricks in Book of Night, the people are. I don't know what a sharp angles and prose means. I'm gonna hope that means she improved her writing style. I mean, to be fair, even between first Cruel Prince and second Cruel Prince, it was like two different people who wrote it. It was such an improvement. I was very impressed. Like, either she got some training or she got a better editor. I don't know, but it was like fire and earth. Two completely different things. So much different. Yeah. Hopefully this will be even better. Okie dokes. The next book, I'm so excited. So this one is Siren Queen by Nghi, and this one's coming out on 10th of May. And it's a historical fiction and it's adult. And Nghi is the author of the, Singing Hills cycle. So my Empress is the first book. Empress of Salt and Fortune, I think, and then When Tiger Came Down the Mountains, the second book, and it both are really, really amazing stories. So I'm really excited for a full-length novel from the author. I think it'd be very good. It was magic. In every world, it was a kind of magic. No maids, no funny talking, no fainting flowers. Luli Wei is beautiful, talented, and desperate to be a star. Coming of age in pre-coded Hollywood, she knows how dangerous the movie business is and how limited the roles are for Chinese-American girl from Hungarian Hill. But she doesn't care. She'd rather play a monster than a maid. But in Luli's world, the worst monsters in Hollywood are not the ones on the screen. The studio wants to own everything from her face to her name to the woman she loves, and they run on a system of bargains made in blood and ancient magic, powered by the endless sacrifice of unlucky starlets like her. For those who survive to earn their fame, success comes with a steep price. Luli is willing to do whatever it takes, and even if that means becoming the monster herself. Siren Queen offers up an enthralling exploration of an outsider achieving stardom on her own terms, in a fantastical Hollywood where the monsters are real and the magic of the silver screen illuminates every page. Sounds so good. I love old Hollywood. Like, it was such a grim time, so I'm sure it's gonna be amazing. Kinda, maybe a little bit Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Like, I love that it's queer. I think it's gonna be a really interesting take, especially because of like the history of portrayal of people of color in Hollywood, and it's pre-coded Hollywood. It's all very exciting. The next book, another very exciting one, it's You Make a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke and Emezi, and it's coming out on 24th of May, and it's an adult contemporary. So I read Pet by Akwaeke and Emezi before, and it was a YA book, so it was really good, but I think the author has even more potential with an adult genre, so I'm very excited. There wasn't that much of a synopsis, but this is what it says. Akwaeke Emezi's You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty is a deeply heartfelt romance novel about a woman named Faye who eases back into the dating scene after an accident killed the love of her life 5 years prior. It's already been adapted into a movie. Oh wow, that's really cool. It's gonna be a movie. After spending most of my teenage years buried in romance novels, I always wanted to write one myself, Emezi told Entertainment Weekly. You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty is a love letter to the brave choices we make in the name of love, the cost we pay for it, and the glory of the reward at the end. Sounds amazing. And it's gonna be a movie, very exciting, very exciting. Number 9 is What Souls Are Made Of, a Wuthering Heights remix by Tasha Suri. It's coming out on 5th of July, and it's a YA historical fiction retelling of Wuthering Heights. So it's a retelling of Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I've actually not read this book, but I bought it on this like floating bookshop that's in London, and it's super cool. It's like on a boat. So I was like, oh, I need to buy something, and I knew I wanted to read this book. So I think me and Hannah are gonna read it before we get to this book. But this is part of this like companion series where an author of color, I think it's always an author of color, retells like a classical story. So I think I know they did Little Women, they did something else, but it was like a middle grade. It's all very different. They have different cover styles, they have different genres and stuff, but it's just like, yeah, it's a really cool way to retell the stories. I don't actually know what Wuthering Heights is about, so let's find out together what this retelling is. As the abandoned son of Lascar, a sailor from India, Heathcliff has spent most of his young life maligned as an outsider. Now he's being flung into an alien life in the Yorkshire moors, where he clings to his birth father's language even though it makes the children of the house call him an animal, and the maids claim he speaks gibberish. Catherine is the younger child of the estate's owner, a daughter with light skin and brown curls, and a mother that nobody talks about. Her father is grooming her for a place in proper society, and that's all that matters. Catherine knows she must mold herself into someone pretty and good and marriageable, even though it might destroy her spirit. As they occasionally flee into the moors to escape judgment and share the half-remembered language of their unknown kin, Catherine and Heathcliff come to find solace in each other. Deep down in their souls, they can feel they are the same. But when Catherine's father dies and the household treatment of Heathcliff only grows more cruel, the relationship becomes strained and threatens to unravel. But how can they ever be together when loving each other, and indeed loving themselves, is as good as throwing themselves into poverty and death? Fair enough. This is what the original book is. The tale of Heathcliff and Cathy's ungovernable love and the suffering and the havoc that their passion wreaks on the families of the Earnshaws and the Linstons shocked the book's first readers, with even Emily's sister Charlotte wondering whether it is right or advisable to create beings like Heathcliff. Plants with unforgettable characters and situations that have seared themselves into our literary consciousness, Emily Bronte's intense masterpiece is one of the most haunting love stories in the canon of English literature. Number 10 is My Imaginary Mary by Cynthia Hand, Brodi, Ashton, and Jodi Meadows. So this one's coming out on 2nd of August, and it's a YA historical fantasy, and it's another part of the Mary series where they retell a famous Mary from the history or famous Jane before this, and it's just like a funny, weird fantasy with like people turning into animals, and it's always cute and adorable, and I love it. So this one is a retelling of Mary Shelley, of her life. Let me read you the synopsis. Mary might have inherited the brilliant mind of her late mother, Mary Wollstonecraft, but she lives a drab life above her father's bookstore, waiting for an extraordinary idea that will inspire a work worthy of her parentage and impress her rakishly handsome and super secret beau, Percy Shelley. Ada Lovelace knows a thing or two about superstar parents, but what with her dad being Lord Byron. But her passions lie beyond the arts, in mechanical engineering to be exact. Alas, no matter how precise Ada's calculations, there's always a man willing to claim her ingenious ideas as her own. When Faye connects her two masterminds, they learn their talents are rare indeed, because their parents were two of the most powerful Fae to have ever lived, and with the right training from a Fae godmother, they can achieve anything they dare to imagine. But when their dream team accidentally on purpose results in a living, breathing, thinking automaton, Mary and Ada face a villain of gothic proportions. I'm excited. It sounds like this one's even looser to like the actual history, but I'm not complaining. It's always fun and it's like a good time. And if you need something warm and fuzzy and to make you happy, next book. It is not a want, it is a need, okay? So, this is Babel, or The Necessity of Violence, an Arcane History of the Oxford Translators Revolution by R.F. Kuang. And this one's coming out on 23rd of August, and it's adult historical fantasy. So I think it's just gonna go by Babel. But R.F. Kuang is the author of Poppy War, very, very popular series. That's like a high fantasy, but this one's dark academia. This is a synopsis. 1928. Robin Swift, orphaned by cholera in Canton, is brought to London by the mysterious Professor Rowell. There, he trains for years in Latin, ancient Greek, and Chinese, all in preparation for the day he'll enroll in Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, also known as Babel. Babel is the world's center of translation, and more importantly, of silver working, the art of manifesting the meaning lost in translation through enchanted silver wires to magical effect. Silver working has made the British Empire unparalleled in power, and Babel's research in foreign languages serves the Empire's quest to colonize everything it encounters. Oxford, the city of dreaming spires, is a fairy tale for Robin, a utopia dedicated to pursuit of knowledge, but knowledge serves power, and for Robin, a Chinese boy raised in Britain, serving Babel is inevitably means betraying his motherland. As his studies progress, Robin finds himself caught between Babel and the shadowy Hermes Society, an organization dedicated to sabotaging the silver working that supports imperial expansion. When Britain pursues an unjust war with China over silver and opium, Robin must decide. Can powerful institutions be changed from within, or does the revolution always require violence? What is he willing to sacrifice to bring Babel down? That's the first time I'm actually reading the synopsis. It sounds so good. I just can't imagine what the author does. I thought it was set in a contemporary setting, but am I crazy? No, this is not 1828, so it's not. Next book is The Sunbearer Trials by Aiden Thomas, which is coming out on 6th of September, and it's a YA LGBT plus fantasy. This one is by the author of Cemetery Boys, which is like a contemporary fantasy, and I loved it. It was so adorable and very, very good book, really good writing, and it did feel a little young. That's the only thing. I felt like the plot was a little basic because like the mystery was like, okay, this is nothing new, but it was still adorable and I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely read anything the author comes up with. And this is the synopsis for Sunbearer Trials. As each new decade begins, the sun's power must be replenished so the soul can keep traveling along the sky and keep the evil obsidian gods at bay. 10 semidoses between the ages of 13 and 18 are selected by Sol himself as the most worthy to complete the Sunbearer Trials. The winner carries light and life to all the temples of Reino de Sol, but the loser has the greatest honor of all. They will be sacrificed to Sol, their body used to fuel the sunstones that will protect the people of Reino de Sol for the next 10 years. Tio, a 17-year-old jade semidos, and the trans son of Quetzal, goddess of birds, has never worried about the trials, or rather, he's only worried for others. His best friend Nia, daughter of Tierra, the god of earth, is one of the strongest heroes of their generation, and is much too likely to be chosen this year. He also can't help but worry, reluctantly and under protest, for Aurelio, a powerful gold semidios and Tio's friend turned rival who is shoo-in for the trials. Theo wouldn't mind taking Aurelia down a notch or two, but a 1 in 10 chance of death is a bit too close for Theo's taste. But then, for the first time in over a century, Saul chooses a semideus who isn't a god. In fact, he chooses two. Sia, the 13-year-old child of Mala Suerte, god of bad luck, and Theo. Now they must compete in 5 mysterious trials against opponents who are both more powerful and better trained, for fame, glory, and their own survival. 2 last books I want to talk about don't really have like a release date, but it said it's going to be 2022, so I'm hoping. So the first book is A Tempest of... This one does have a date, is the one after doesn't. So this one is A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal. So this one's coming out on November 8th, and it's a YA historical fiction fantasy. So it's the author of We Hunt the Flame, which I personally didn't enjoy that much, but the writing was beautiful, so I have high hopes, and this one sounds really cool. So it says, A Tempest of Tea by best-selling author Hafsa Faisal, first in duology pitched as King Arthur makes Peaky Blinders with vampires. The novel follows a gang of outcasts in a deadly heist led by Arfi Kashmir to save her tea room, which fronts as an illegal blood house where local vampires can purchase fresh blood. Sounds good. I'm very excited. The author definitely has writing skills, so I'm just hoping the story vibes with me a little bit more. And I've been really enjoying historical fantasy lately. Like, I really love these Violent Delights, and it's all like set in that kind of time period. So I think this one's similar, and I'm very excited. The next book is one without a proper release date. It's Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong, and it says fall 2022, and it's a YA historical fantasy. So Chloe Gong is the author of These Violent Delights and Our Violent Ends, and which is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet set in 1920s Shanghai. And this is a spin-off to the series apparently, which I didn't even realize. I thought this was her Cleopatra and Antony retelling, but apparently it's not. So this one says, the novel follows a familiar character who is recruited as a spy and is to pose as a married couple with someone who may be the enemy. Takes place in the 1930s with Imperial Japan's expansion into China. I loved These Violent Delights. I loved Our Violent Ends. I am very excited for this book. I think it's gonna be good. I don't actually know if it's like just a standalone or what, but I'm excited. Time for the last book I wanted to talk about. It's a bit random. There's not that much information about it, but it's Blood Over Bright Haven by M.L. Wong, which is sometime 2022, and it's a fantasy novella, and M.L. Wong is the author of the Sword of Kaigen, and this is, I think, like a novella set in one of her worlds, but I was very confused and I'm not actually sure. So it says, Blood Over Bright Haven follows a research mage who uncovers a secret that could change the course of magic forever, if it doesn't get her killed first. So for genre, it says, I'm tentatively calling this novella dark academia, although as most of my books, I'm not sure how well it fits any one genre. Unlike my other projects, this one would be low on action and high on brooding intrigue. Setting. Blood Over Bright Heaven takes place in the Ultima universe, but in a vastly different era and geographical location from Seven, Forsaken, Gunpowder Magnolia, and Sazuma, which all occur within the same couple of decades. Unlike those sprawling flintlock epics, this novella focuses on one seemingly utopian metropolis built on a high level of magical technology. It is a standalone, meaning you need absolutely no knowledge of my other works to follow the plot. I love this book. I don't think this is actually the same world that she's talking about. I think that's her other series. I've not read any of her other books, but this one is my ride or die. So I'm gonna read anything new she comes up with, and maybe one day go back to her older stuff. But yeah. And those are all the books I'm excited for in 2022. I mean, there's so many more, but we don't know the release dates, and most of these were like a second book of authors I really love and like, so I know I'm gonna read them right away. I also have a video actually about sequels I'm excited for, because these had no sequels, but there's so many sequels I am super excited for. So if you want to check out that video, I'm gonna link it up above and you can check it out there. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what books you're excited for in 2022. I just think it's gonna be a good year. We have some good bad boys coming. Yeah, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, if you could comment, like, and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Really helps me out. But that's it from me, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!